Hey, this is Roman. So, Allison and I did not have our shit together in terms of putting together an awards show for this week. We both got unexpectedly busy with things. So, we are releasing uh, previously unheard audio, which we recorded 5 years ago to the week. Um, during this recording session, we came up with the name of our podcast. It was a delight to go back and listen to it. It may be very boring to you, potentially. This is the sort of episode that I would probably skip if I were listening to a podcast and heard this introduction. But the audio quality, I should probably note, is a little raunchy. I appear to be violently shaking a table at all times. So, bear with us. In case you want to hear literally the second thing we ever recorded, and I'll also tell you that I'll put something up as a short next week, and the awards show Year in COVID episode will, in fact, come out Friday, the 16th of April. Okay. I love you. Bye. Here it comes.
Lucy, how do you feel about interacting with women as equals?
Lucy's interacted with like 5 total women. I don't think she has a good sample size. Just scroll back in our texts so we can feel out how some of these possible podcast titles sound. Seedy murmurings. I think that's florid.
Yeah. That's a definite maybe.
What about seedy business?
I like that too.
That's a better podcast name. I also proposed plantitudes.
What if we called the episodes where it's just reading from seed catalogs Seedy Murmurings, and the ones where it's us bullshitting as well, Seedy Business?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Can we have a segment called Plantitudes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what happens in that segment, do you think?
Maybe we call out some we've isolated some like tropes in the writing that we think are widely used to the point of being ineffective or something like that. Or maybe we'll like begin to isolate some language that is meant to put a positive spin on something that actually is bad about the plant. That'd be an interesting segment.
What's the best thing you can say about this shitty tomato?
Right,
is definitely it.
Anyway, welcome to this podcast that's called Seedy Business. It's seedy business. It's seedy business. There's Lucy. Maybe you heard her.
Well, Lucy's getting involved.
She's in the dishwasher. Just maybe without precedent. And she's upset about it. What are you drinking tonight, Allison?
I am drinking a really great $5.99 sparkling wine.
I'm drinking the same. It's from Trader Joe's. Wait, is this the Cristalino? Or
no, the Cristalino's good, but it's like $8 or $9 a bottle.
Right, that's true. This is the
RSVP.
Yeah, and I get the Cristalino extra dry at Harris Teeter. Lucy, all your needs are met. You have only 3 needs. All right, so the exciting news, the reason we had to call this emergency podcast is because we've received a new seed catalog in the mail, and it's called what?
Strictly Medicinal Seeds, Spring Summer 2017 catalog.
Strictly Medicinal.
And
it's like the lady doth protest too much type situation, I think. You can also find them at strictlymedicinalseeds.gov.
Definitely not gov.com. And what
really, because it seems based on how the catalog looks like it would be a .net. 10 years ago, this would have been a .net.
All right. Well, here's what I love about this catalog so far. First of all, the postage is a stamp that someone has applied by hand.
I bet I know who that person is, because there's only one name listed as the...
And my name and address are also written by hand. And that's really exciting to me. And the other thing is that the catalog is illustrated by line drawings of plants and of anthropomorphized mice enjoying the plants.
They're all, none of the mice are pests in this. They're all lovely co-inhabitants in these garden situations. They remind me, like, some are clearly hippies, some are clearly beatniks. Like, that's the...
I haven't looked through it. I've been preserving, I've been waiting to have like authentic, I flipped really quickly through it. And I've been waiting to have authentic reactions to what we discover. We
should say that the catalog is in black and white. Of course, they're line drawings. There's not a bunch of reason for it to be in color. The outside is like a light blue cardstock. And then the inside is all sort of the thinnest sort of recycled paper. I don't know what you'd call that.
Newsprint.
Newsprint, yeah.
Like recycled newsprint. Yeah, the cover actually reminds me of a blue book for writing essays in. It's almost as thin as the pages.
It's really a charming artifact. Like, I want to stress that. Like, it was a lovely thing to receive, and I've really enjoyed it as an object.
Yeah, I'm really excited to look at it. And I really like that there's a foreword that begins Dear Cedars. And Dear Cedars is also, this person has designed a custom font that they've calligraphed themselves into the greeting of the letter, just above where the print starts. Do you want to read it?
Sure. Dear Cedars, warm winter rains have melted the deep snow here in this high valley of the Siskiyou Mountains of southern Oregon. The earth is sodden and the creek rushes along to the sea. Birds rejoice at the uncovering of the soil, giving them renewed access to the seed bank as well as worms and other small creatures of the food web, even though there is not a dry twig to be had for a comfortable perch. In the midst of the snowstorm, several birds came to live inside our heated greenhouse, amusing me with their flitting antics. Perfectly comfortable, it seemed, well fed somehow. I'm glad they have now found other accommodations. Half-domesticated birds and germinating seeds do not mix, or should I say, they mix too well? Outside my window, I'm amused by a gray squirrel newly emerged from her nutty slumbers within the barky bole of a big leaf maple tree. She's leaping with abandon between the smooth trunks of two giant alders. Back and forth she goes, nearly manic, tired of resting. Like the squirrel, I too am sufficiently rested by weeks of involuntary cabin time, and yearn to be in the garden, exercising my ancient right to prepare the seedbed, sow the seed, nurture nature, and simultaneously diversify diet. In anticipation, I break out the most respected seeds of spring, beginning to plant in the greenhouse the herbaceous medicinals, motherwort, elecampane, and hyssop. Trusted friends all. Peas and spinach will be sown outdoors as soon as the soil dries out a bit. I'm planting plenty of trees from seed too. The seeds I sow are the same ones found in this unique seed catalog you are holding in your hands right now. You will find herein old friends to sustain and over 50 new species to delight. In the tree section alone, I see many that are new to this catalog. Acacia, African sausage tree, desert fan palm, Ethiopian coffee, Joshua tree, ocotillo, soursop, winter sweet, yellowwood. This year has been one of renewal. The republishing of new improved editions of both Making Plant Medicine and Growing at-Risk Medicinal Herbs has been a labor of love, and a new website at strictlymedicinalseeds.com has made all our offerings more readily available to you internet-savvy gardeners. Still, it is through this paper catalog that you gain access to Cheesy's world, Dissatisfied with the slow pace of nature, she has begged her mouse fairy godmother for a super green thumb, and with it proceeds to green up Mouse Haven to an unprecedented level of verdure. Let us join with Cheesy in this venture. Like Dorothy with her ruby slippers, the magic has been with us all along. Nature has given each of us a green thumb. To awaken the talisman, simply walk out into nature. Feel the wind and listen to the song of the trees. Drop to your knees and put your hands around a plant. Loosen the soil around it. Whisper encouragement. Add a little compost and then let it go. Later, returning, you will see how much it has grown. The green soul of the plant and the green thumb of the gardener. Together they make fine music, the dance of life. Let it flow. Signed, Richo.
Okay, so wow.
Maybe I could do a better reading of that again, but that's pretty bonkers.
So first of all, I think what I learned is that every edition of this seed catalog is illustrated with these mice, but that they're not merely decorative. There's some narrative in each issue of the catalog, and he's explaining.
Cheesy, that's the Cheesy's the mouse protagonist, but there's a cast of mouse characters.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean this Richo is just a devoted hippie.
There are at least 5 unique mice depicted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty tempted to go try and find the back catalog of this. Like, maybe this fucking guy's written, like, Lord of the Rings length mouse narrative over the course of the time that this catalog has been produced.
Yeah, this is astonishing. Also, the names of some of those plants as you read them sounded really magical and appealing. Particularly Wintersweet and Yellowwood. Those both sound really magical.
Sound magical, yeah. Anyway, we should read some of the seed descriptions.
I don't even know how the catalog is organized.
It's organized around the mouse narrative, maybe.
Okay, well, I just opened arbitrarily to page 14. Honeybee Lovers Seed Collection. These flowers feed bees with their profuse nectaries and are also cleansing to the bees and the hive, protecting the colony from harm. 1 full-size seed packet each of lemon bergamot, true comfrey, hyssop, mullein, pleurisy root, scarlet sage, temperate tulsi, and viper's bugloss. And I had some hesitation reading over the names, in part because actually each plant is listed as bergamot, lemon, comfrey, true.
Like a last name and a first name?
Yeah, I guess so that you can maybe look up
or something.
Yeah, that's my guess.
I mean, it's been interesting to do cold readings of things from these because I don't know how to pronounce a lot of the names of these plants. So I've just been trying to do it with read whatever I feel with confidence, I guess.
Butterfly Lovers Seed Collection. Not only butterflies, but hummingbirds, honeybees, and native pollinators are attracted, fed, and housed by these bright flowers. 1 full-sized seed packet each of aromatic aster, cardinal flower, echinacea purpurea, gay feather, common milkweed, showy milkweed, Mexican sunflower, and wallflower.
Showy milkweed sounds like a dick.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about having common milkweed and showy milkweed in the same collection?
You don't want them back to back.
Here's what I know for sure is that I would like to plant gay feather, whatever that is. That and yellowwood and wintersweet.
Are these real?
Basically anything that sounds like a magic plant you would read about in a fairy tale. I would like to grow it. I'm sold.
Let's read about some aloe. Aloe ferox. Cape aloe. Trunk-forming aloe native to South Africa. Protect from frost. Does very well indoors in pots with fat leaves that curve gracefully upward, eventually pushing itself up on a squat trunk. One of the top 3 healing aloes worldwide. The leaves are the primary source of the bright yellow laxative drug known as aloes, or aloe emodin. Flowers bright orange red.
So, if that's one of the top 3 medicinal aloes, should I assume that the other 2 are
aloe vera.
And then the previous one? How many aloes are listed there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Whoa! 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23 aloes.
I'm astonished. That's incredible. Okay, you should keep reading them.
How does he own all of this?
Well, first, is it clear, are the aloes being sold as
Aloes are being
plants?
sold as plants.
Okay.
Yeah, not as seeds.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is someone with a pretty significant greenhouse and seed storage area.
I mean, it seems inconceivable to me. Where does...
Oregon. I'm not sure where in Oregon.
Williams, Oregon.
I don't know where that is.
I feel like if we go to Portland this summer, maybe we should try to visit this guy.
It's not clear that this guy wants us to visit him.
Well, I think we could reach out and say that we admire his work and see if he responds. He has a fax number. You can.
He seems to find the idea of the internet a bit novel, so I'm worried that he might be hard to reach.
Anyway, let's move on from aloe. 2 whole pages of aloe.
I love holding this in my hands.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure.
And then there are so many things that I don't even know what they are. But okay, so the very next page, the first thing says bulbine, and the description is traditional muti for male enhancement. The fleshy leaves make a showy rosette that gives rise to bright yellow flowers like candles in the night. I'm going to just guess that approximately a quarter of all of these plants are used for male enhancement.
Well, it is showy, and it does give rise to something.
Listen, there are only 2 questions you need to ask. Is it firm? And is it
meaty?
Longer than it is wide? And if the answer is yes to both of those questions, or really either of those questions, then it'll give you a boner. So rhino horns, elephant tusks, anything that's hard and elongated is sure to give you a boner.
And anything milky and translucent makes you come more. What I'm saying is milk makes you come more.
All right.
You're going to make me cut this. You don't want this to be like a cum-centric podcast.
Well, I don't think anyone wants that. I'm just going to flip around.
These seem to be great.
Scented geranium, fair Ellen, Pelargonium crucifolium. Among collectors, one of the most desired. Leaves small, fragrance elegant, flowers outsized to the plant. Illustration above. And there is a pen drawing of, I guess, of what the flower alone looks like. And it looks like it was drawn with a fountain pen. And it looks like it was drawn from life. And it was drawn with mostly studying the flower and not looking at the page. It's drawn in a really gestural way that makes it seem like they were focused on the flower itself.
No,
do you agree?
I would agree. And would you say, and this is a very casual observation from just flipping through it, but either there are 2 artists or like the person is drawing into it's a guy.
2 distinct styles.
2 distinct styles. One of which is like sort of cartoonier to go along with the mice, I guess, and one of which is like when he's trying to do a serious, like, still life that captures the aspect of the plant he's trying to describe, then that's a lot less gesture drawing-y, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, those are two really different techniques. I could believe that it's the same hand. I would say it's definitely the same set of pens. I mean, I don't know that it's the exact same pen, but you know what I mean? It looks like the same medium is definitely being used. So there are pictures of a woman in here as well. So there might be a second person involved in the production of this catalog, because I've noticed a human photographs of a human woman.
Okay. Yeah,
so there may be a second person involved, yes, in the production of this, because there are at least two photographs of a human woman
at one point. Okay.
Basically, I want to read this guy's autobiography.
How far in was the other picture of that woman? Was it at the very end? Or was it
No, there are two pictures near the beginning, within the first 20 pages. One, she's demonstrating...
Okay. All right. Here's a picture of both. Spoiler alert, they're hippies.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they've been
what's
to Burning
going on
Man.
here. Yeah. People who have 23 different kinds of aloe on hand at any given point in time.
Yeah, and you can, this picture of them, they're definitely in their greenhouse. And it does look like it's hard to tell exactly how big it is, but it looks pretty big because they've got some actual trees behind them.
We should
indoors.
100% order something from them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But not... How do you feel about we get a 6-ton hydraulic jack?
Is that available through them?
Yeah, it's a lab press to press out 3 gallons of herbal tincture per hour.
Oh my God. What is their going rate for that?
$1,245 plus shipping.
That's not bad. Seems like a bargain.
We'd have to have a very different lifestyle. I'll put it that way.
Strictly medicinal herbs. They don't want to be accused of having non-medicinal herbs.
Okay, I'm going to read some items in the life plant category, also known as air plant or mother of thousands. Pencil tree, Euphorbia tirucali. Walking stick, Mukalamu. Perennial succulent shrub to small tree native to Africa. Protect from frost. Protect skin and eyes from latex. That's ominous. A fascinating, nearly leafless plant with upright stick-like stems and small leaves like the ears of a mouse. I've seen these in Zanzibar, where they are called Mukalamu, the pencil tree, grow as tall as a person. Potential source of biofuel. Entertaining show plants.
Well, let's look up a picture of this. Hold on, I'm also texting you that our local farm is looking for volunteers to cuddle with goats. There's an article.
Like the goats need cuddling?
We should also go to yoga with goats. But anyway, what's this called? Pencil plant?
The pencil tree, Euphorbia tirucali.
You can buy one from Walmart. When I Googled pencil tree, the first, oh no.
That's something else.
That's something else entirely. It's a fake Christmas tree. This is way cooler. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Those weren't leaves we were seeing.
They were tiny baby plants.
Tiny baby plants.
So it's a succulent. It's a succulent tree. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's way weirder than I thought it was.
Up close, especially. Yeah. It looks like it turns golden and
that's
orange.
Fucking beautiful.
Yeah. I would... Oh, someone's got one as like a bonsai. I'd have one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Are you kidding?
Why not? I mean, Lucy would try to eat it.
There's like there are some that look like they have seasonal color change, like with like oranges and reds and there's one like that's pale pink. That's fucking beautiful. Yeah, turns out these are beautiful. I'm sorry that I
You were disappointed at first, but now you've seen the light.
Oh man, all these pictures are amazing. I just want to say that for all my love of everything about this catalog so far, and all my respect for like what these people are doing as a lifestyle, clearly all this science is bogus, right? Or at least dramatically overstated.
Well, I mean, that's saying studies show antimitotic effects. No, that's not overstated. I'll say having no knowledge whatsoever of the studies.
Vitro,
because if you dump something on some cells in a dish, either it'll make them grow more or it'll make them grow less. There's no way that it does nothing. So
you can get a study to say a thing if you would like to say a thing.
I mean, the problem is that there's not good funding for research into herbal treatments in a controlled clinical setting.
Sure.
So.
I guess I say this as a person who, like, I probably take more pills every day than almost any healthy person does, you know, and I've tried to like pare them down to the stuff that like pretty much everyone agrees, you know, like the fish oils and the vitamin D's and the magnesiums and the stuff that I think pretty much anybody can benefit from. But
I feel like you're covering up the fact that you take, I don't know, a couple dozen fiber capsules every day.
Sometimes it depends how much I want to poop. And that can vary day to day. Look,
You mean whether you want to poop a lot or like
holy shit,
really a lot?
Right. Those are the only two options. I enjoy it.
As much as you take pills, you still think this is bullshit, I guess is where you were going.
Yeah, I guess that's the long and short of what I was trying to... Oh, what I was going to say is I'm skeptical of the idea that plants that exist in nature just happen to provide us things that we have decided we need, I guess. And by decide we need, I mean like, oh, we've even if we say we have this thing we've identified as a disease and we need a drug to cure it, like our defining it as a disease is still like that's a social designation as much as it is a biological designation, right? And I think it's like, it's too convenient to say, oh, there's a plant somewhere that's going to cure each of the things that we have decided is a problem. Like all the things what I'm getting at is all the things that we term diseases, that had to be a decision made by people for those to be seen as disordered as opposed to a natural course of things.
Okay, but so it's certainly wrong to think nature has provided us everything we need. We just have to discover it. I mean, there's no intentional provisioning of the world for us. But there are thousands of different bioactive chemicals manufactured in the cells of a given plant. And so there are millions and millions and millions of undiscovered chemicals that must be bioactive in some way because they're doing something for the plant. Yeah. And that who knows what they might do in our bodies. So I think there probably is a lot out there to be discovered that has biomedical applications.
It's hard to isolate those things and get them to do only exactly what you want them to do to cure the thing that we've decided is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. But then again, I mean, there are certain things that are incredibly simple chemicals that we don't even really understand how they work, and they do what we want them to do really well. So,
like penicillin or something. Aspirin.
Well, we understand pretty well how penicillin works, but I was thinking of lithium chloride. Lithium chloride, we kind of know how it works when we use it to manipulate embryonic development, and we understand how it basically changes cell specification in early development. Though for a long time, for decades, people used it without knowing really why it worked. They knew what it did, and they could conduct experiments using it as a tool. But it also treats bipolar disorder. And that I don't think we know why this really simple chemical salt would treat a really complex behavioral and biochemical disorder.
And by treating it, though, we mean mitigates a series of symptoms that we have decided are bad. I feel like this podcast really draws into like stark relief what is true about our relationship in general, which is that even in like you're the brains of this upper. What happens is I ask a lot of questions and you parse out answers for me.
It's not clear that I know anything.
Would you agree with my belief that, and this is in no way meant to, dear listener, like diminish the impact of diseases or the severity, like the way that these hurt people or hurt lives. But what my premise, I guess, is that everything that we think of as a disease, whether it's a mental health disorder or a biological disease, is socially or culturally defined.
Well,
my grandfather had a parakeet growing up, and it had a cancer growing out of its ass, and it grew to be as long as the parakeet itself. And then he cut it off. He cut the cancer off, and then it just grew right back, just as long as it was before.
I mean, I'm not convinced that was a cancer. I
don't know. Was?
I don't know. I don't know.
But
might have been.
But like we could have a cancer growing out of our butt, but we have to decide that's a problem. Someone has to decide that's a problem. There are a lot of things that we do that exist with our bodies that we could decide are problems, but we have not.
Okay. I mean, I think there certainly are gray areas. And I think there are things that are phenotypes where maybe we don't appreciate the positive side of some particular phenotype we're exhibiting.
Especially with mental health stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are some things that are pretty clear cut. Like, oh, if you have Marfan syndrome, then you have a particular mutation that affects this one particular gene that changes how your bones grow and how your bones and connective tissue signal to one another. And so it makes your body has characteristic differences from average proportions and, difficulty with like pain in the joints, functional difficulties
right.
and stuff like that, where it's like this one mutation, this one gene affects this one specific process. It's painful and, it's a markedly...
It's a disease, is what you're saying.
It's hard to say, like, oh, well, that's just socially constructed as a disease.
If
a person is living with, like, a discomfort that is caused by something that's, like, there's a really clear single causative agent, it's hard to say that that's not a disease.
I'm trying to give a counterexample, and I'm coming up with sort of two half ones. One would, like, on the mental health side of things, there are ways that... Like if we really prize a person who is willing to stress themselves out and overwork, like that is a culturally, especially here in the United States, being willing to kill yourself to succeed in some way is really prized when that is obviously detrimental to your health and lifespan. And the other thing I was thinking is there's like diseases that like they're bad for, I don't know, like a parasite or something like that, which is, it's bad for you, but it's good for something else.
Yeah, malaria is a great example of something that seems to be unequivocally a disease to my mind.
Okay, it's good for some mosquitoes. I don't know.
No, it's not even good for the mosquitoes.
but
it's only good for the parasite.
But maybe even in non-parasitic relationships, like maybe us getting fucked in some ways good down the line for something else, right? Which is I'm only bringing this up to say that in light of that, a plant meeting, why would it meet our needs? Uniquely our needs, uniquely our medicinal needs.
I don't think that's the claim that's made by saying plants have biochemical properties that can alter the human body.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what anyone's saying, but I mean, you would agree that probably way more plants people think they have useful bioactive traits than actually do. And that probably that's because people hold this belief that plants are here to like serve us.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. I really don't know.
This is pretty far afield at this point. But I think it's good. This could be a segment.
Yeah, maybe this is a segment.
This is Plantitudes.
I don't know if this is Plantitudes material. It's pretty far afield. Maybe we'll call it something like that.
Yeah, actually, that's a good name for it.
All I'm going to say is I don't in any way doubt that if you grind up this one plant and dump it in a plate of cells, that they divide less quickly. I don't even have to see the paper. I believe it.
What if I pooped into the Petri dish? Will that make them better or worse?
So there was a famous...
I already like where this is going.
There's a famous experiment in developmental biology where somebody was like, look, when I transplant these cells into this spot, it does something. And somebody else was like, nah, I don't buy it. And they started just like putting random stuff in there. And like, inert material like clay or just whatever. And showed that it also had the same effect. Because it turns out what the effect was just keeping these two areas farther apart from one another. I just want to... Anyway, my point is, you can dump anything inside an organism or into a dish of cells, and it might do something. It very well might. I
also want to dispute your claim that there's no provisioning out of our world for us. This is a good time to bring up the manna from heaven. As, of course, the Lord provided manna, sweet flavor. How was this? We recently looked this up. It came to our attention that we didn't know what manna was, and that I had a dramatically different interpretation from having read the Bible as a child than Allison did, in terms of what I had thought manna was like tiny chips of bread or something like that.
That's definitely how they described it in like Sunday school when I was a kid. But I don't...
Then when we read the passage...
I don't know where I had some assertion. I don't even remember what I said it was. But...
It's described as like sweet white flakes?
Yeah,
or something?
Sweet white flakes, which I think is why people were like, oh, it must have been bread-like. But there's something that even now is called manna that is the poop of some bugs, right? They drink sap out of these trees, and then apparently the sap is under such high pressure that when they stick their little proboscis or whatever into the plant,
that's a gross way to fuck their little fucking proboscis.
The pressure of the sap
it's so great.
like erupts through their body, and the sweet sap like shoots out of their butts, and then these little
have you ever had
drops
too
of
big of a
plant sap that's been through a bug dries in the sun, and then you gather it up and it's delicious and sweet, apparently.
It's like the cat coffee, the cat that eats
coffee beans,
and poops them out.
The only promise they make with Kopi Luwak is that it's the world's most expensive coffee. Right. That's the tagline.
I have a friend who I saw posted on Facebook that he'd recently had some. It's Mike Prell, who goes to Burning Man. He's the guy with the colorful beard. Said he had some of that coffee recently.
I had some once.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'll tell you what. It was a real lesson in the placebo effect for me, because Doug told me we were going to have some Kopi Luwak, and like some guy was bringing it over, and some guy came over and they like made a pot of coffee, and we were sitting and drinking it. And I thought it was damn good coffee. And I said, oh, this is interesting. And he said, oh, this isn't the Kopi Luwak. This is just some regular coffee we're having before the Kopi Luwak.
Oh, that's
And
a trick.
Yeah. And then I had the Kopi Luwak and I was like, this is just like coffee. I'm really not getting anything.
Mike Prell said it was smooth. Just the most generic compliment you can give to coffee.
No, I would say the Kopi Luwak that I had was like had much less complex flavor. Like maybe the complex flavors in the first coffee would be considered unsmooth and maybe even undesirable. But they were noticeable, and the Kopi Luwak tasted like totally inoffensive. There's nothing that you could dislike about it.
Digested out by the
there's nothing
bowels of a cat.
Maybe. I mean, there's nothing to not like about it, but it just didn't seem to have any personality to me. But then again, placebo effect. I thought the first one was great.
Right. What's the fastest you've ever consumed a thing and then shat it out?
How could I know that?
Has it been mere moments?
It's seedy business. It's seedy business. Boring talk about seeds, seedy talk between boys. Mind-numbing chatter about ovules and spores. We'll dig a ditch and moan and split the difference. Seedy business. It's seedy business.